Good morning, everybody. Gen AI news here from GAI Insights, rating the top news, essential, important, or optional. We have today Paul Byer, Luda Koplinka, Adam Rappaport, Tim Andrews, and Ankaj Honda as we give you the news of the day, save you some time, hope give you some insight. All right, Ankaj, start us off if you would.
Yes, I'm just bringing up my screen.
I don't see it listed here. I don't know why.
Yep.
I can also do it.
Just,
Okay.
just trying to bring it up.
Just a second. All right. Well, the first one's about it's a long, rambling conversation between a couple of vendors. Oh no, sorry. The very first one's about from OpenAI about introducing structured output. Let me go ahead and see if I can present this here. Your screen. There we go. Luda, what do you think of this one from our friends at OpenAI?
I rate this article as important.
Okay.
This is the article that talks about structured outputs, and that is essentially if you could move, essentially making the LLMs produce the output as if it was deterministic. So 100% correct to the format and to the definition that was provided by the developer. That's why it's called structured output. And in their experimentation, with a number of limitations, however, this works. And that graph at the front shows in the green that it actually works better than other options. This is with the model released today based on 4.0. So I feel that people should know that this is, and it compares at the bottom, at the end of the article, alternative approaches that have limitations. They can't represent structured output for certain types of output. So this is probably the leading approach at the moment. And for that reason, I think it is important.
All right, got a vote for important here. Tim, Adam, what do you think?
I agree. I think it's important for a couple of reasons. First of all, this will be highly functional for a lot of people if you can rely more on output structured around a JSON schema. That's a very well understood developer paradigm. This is only available to developers through the API. So this is a developer tool, not an end user tool, but an important one. The other thing is this is, we've been saying for a while, the ultimate end game here is combining these stochastic models, statistical models, with deterministic models. So this is just using well understood, decades old language parsing technology used in compilers and other things to check the output and constrain the output of the statistical language model. And it seems to be working pretty well.
All right. Adam, we go with it. Important on this one? What do you think? All right.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to review the articles, John. I'm just on the road, so
Gotcha.
I'll go with everyone else's opinion here. Thanks.
All right.
The only caveat, John, it has always this flag to say true to strict was always available. And when you do that, essentially you constrain the imagination of the model, the creativity of the model. It just only sticks to facts or whatever he believes that was provided to it as facts. So I just want to make sure that people are aware that it might be restrictive in a sense. So need to work on it and test it and see how it does.
Great. All right. First one down. Got important here. Next.
Hey, John, can you please bring up my screen? I'm sharing my screen now. Yes. So the next one comes from A16Z, and it talks about bringing production-ready GenAI to the enterprise.
Yeah. So here we have a conversation between the CEO of Hugging Face and Pinecone. Yeah, let's see. I had Paul on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, it was actually a CEO Pinecone and Launching. Two common technologies for this. Andreessen in general has pretty good research. I think the only thing notable about that is their research has shown that AI budgets are doubling and tripling, which we're seeing everywhere. But this is a commercial for two vendors and pretty vanilla. So I had it as an option.
So you got the big optional as two vendors just walk down memory lane about how to build production level systems.
Totally agree. Mutual admiration society among the vendors.
Hosted by an investor. Other than that, it's a great piece of work. Okay, let's not spend a lot of time on that. We get a big O on that. Let's go to generative AI is everywhere. Our friend and colleague, Tom Davenport. Go for it. Okay.
So this next one from Forbes and Tom Davenport talking about how GenAI is everywhere, including at Birchwood Foods.
Awesome. Tom tells us a great story about this meat packer. What do you think here, Tim?
Well, it is a good story. If Tom is not being paid by these people, they should pay him because it's about as good a commercial as you're going to get. But well done. It's a good use case. I would rate it as important because it is a mainstream, not a leading edge company doing something that is really important to their job. It's a straightforward application we've been talking about forever, basically using dynamic language translation to deal with the very diverse population that they have working in their plants and trying to keep them safe. So it's a great example, straightforward, but a great one, and in production.
Yeah, other thoughts on this? I thought it was pretty interesting. The tool they're using can speak 131 languages, which is impressive. Anything else to add? I think for me, I put it as important as well. It's a good story. Everybody's got training issues. Most organizations have multilingual issues. Here you've got, a really tough job of, working in a meatpacking plant, being dealt with usually by immigrants or immigrant communities and speaking very, very different languages. So,
really, that part is important, I think. And the fact that, again, this is not a leading edge organization and the amount of straightforward savings that they can generate new videos on problems that they've just found out about in literally 12 hours, 15 hours in multiple languages.
All right. Okay, with that, we're going to give this the big I. Next on Coach.
Next one comes from McKinsey and it talks about LLM to ROI. So how to scale GenAI in retail.
All right, I don't want to prejudice the witness, but I don't think you like this one, Luna.
Yeah.
Luna, do you even have a chance after opening like that?
No, she already said she didn't like it. I'm not putting.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Yeah, the title is impressive. I was actually very much looking forward to reading this article, but found it a little light on the user cases and the information. And at the end, they give a lot of advice that is really it's everywhere. So I think it's optional, except for the important piece is, Ankash, if you open up the survey findings, it might be interesting to retail executives here. Do you see the button to, yeah. So they did the survey with 50 global Fortune 500 retail executives, and they were trying to understand where they were with piloting AI projects. So 60-some% said they have conducted pilots, and many of them took off the shelf. More than 60% took off the shelf, and 26% experimented with take various tools and put them together. And so that's another thing that they were trying to understand, whether it's take the ready available tools, or do you make them, or do you kind of shape them? And it ends up that people are trying the ready-made platforms. And most of these retailers were experimenting with AI. Only 10% have not yet tried it. So that is maybe an important bit of this article. The rest is optional. So optional for me.
Optional for you. All right. Others. I was going to make the case for important. I thought it was pretty well researched. I mean, I like this idea of, internal meta chain, customer experience, and, remembering that important still, not required reading. I thought they had a fair amount of structure, not a lot of data, as you say, but some, and I think not a bad way to break it up. So I was going to make the case for important, but what others think?
I can go with important. I was kind of on the boundary, and I think you two have summed it up pretty well. It's not the deepest article you'd like to see, but it's got some good information in it, and it's well structured. They write reasonably well. So if you're in retail, it's probably going to be pretty interesting. But it doesn't say anything that isn't out there in a million other places.
Right, and it didn't have any examples, only hypotheticals. So that was really a red flag for me. So when they didn't give examples of customer experience, they'd say, how about we take a electronics retailer, for example. So it probably is based on the real case, but it's just very hypothetical. So no results, so it's very,
We don't know if they're just hypothetically thinking about it or disguising a case they've already done for a client. So we don't know. Okay, Paul, what do you think?
This is one of the better ones. I thought optional though. I think most retailers who are paying attention know these trends. But I don't have a strong feelings, and Luda, I don't want to argue with the chalk today. So
yeah.
I'm gonna get in my row as a peasant right now.
All right, we'll go for optional on this one. All right, McKinsey didn't quite chin the bar, but I like their presentation of before and after generative AI, the way they took the subcomponents and broke it down. Anyway, okay, we had the big O. Ankaj, what's next?
The next one comes from South Korea and LG and Samsung. So LG and Samsung are using GenAI in teaching technology in South Korea.
All right, so here we have the shrinking South Korean population putting smart boards, whiteboards, smart technology in the classroom, hoping to sell it to the Chinese as well, if not around the world. Paul, what do you think of this one?
I thought it was interesting technology. I think it's still it's optional. I mean, the experimentation on the capability frontier continues to be important and wide, but not material right now. Certainly for the AI leaders.
Okay,
Optional.
yeah.
Yep, I would say the same. I would say, it's probably important at least important if you're in educational services, but for everybody else, somewhat optional. I'll get on my soapbox for 30 seconds and say, this is similar to, the idea that, well, we need better music education, so we're going to put a piano in every classroom, which these days is true to a great extent in the United States. There's at least a piano in every grade. But the problem is the music's not in the piano. And we have a similar problem here. The education and the ideas are not in these machines. And they could be very helpful, just as a piano can be very helpful, but you have to have something to convey the ideas. And I'm afraid this will be more of Sesame Street entertainment than actual education.
Such a great analogy, Tim. I'm going to use that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alan Kay, as usual.
Yeah.
First person I heard say that.
All right, so we get the big optional for the new piano in the classroom. All right, Ankaj, next.
Okay, the next one comes from Azim Azhar through his newsletter Exponential View, and it talks about what bosses are missing about AI or what they are not considering about AI.
All right, Tim, what did you think about this one?
I think this is worth a read, so I give it an important. It's not the best article written. In fact, I would say both you and Paul's Harvard Business School articles are better. Not to be.
I would hope so. Abomination. Yeah.
But the idea of, look, we always go from this kind of let's do the better old thing, let's just improve efficiency, to let's get some operational leverage, so let's do something really transformative. That's a good idea, and the more people read that, I think the better. I think his examples are a little weak, and it's a little fluffy beyond that. But the basic idea is right, that you really want to work hard. As Chunka and I and Paul always say, think big. You don't want to lose the think big part. You need to start small and learn your way along, but you need to think big. And that means, again, another Alan Kay-ism from many times is, I don't know who discovered water, but it wasn't the fish. Because we really have difficulty seeing how the world could be different, completely different than the one we imagine that we're in right now. And so what we do is just play around with the world that we're in. And it's good at that. It makes it better. But it makes it incrementally better, not transformationally better.
Yeah, so there are 3 levels, right? That you're showing them, right? That he's talking about. I would very much support Tim. I would love people to start thinking about the level 3 more than the level 1 and 2. So level 1 is do what we do cheaper. Level 2, do what we do, just do it better, productivity. And then 3 is do entirely new things, and that's new products, new imagination. He also points out, if you scroll down, Ankash, the open innovation funnel, the picture, what he points out a little further. Yeah. So it's a classic open innovation funnel. What he points out, if you really use tools to imagine what can go in the front, and it's 10x to 100x more than you usually process, your whole process can get clogged up. That's very much true. To evaluate so many ideas and to actually use them and combine them and whatnot requires quite a different organization and a different level of imagination to take that into action. So this is not a trivial task, but I agree with Tim. It's something that people need to start really looking at and thinking about, because that's where the real change is going to come from.
Yeah, and if it would
you give it an important as well, Luda?
Yeah.
I think, John, you and I talk a lot about, that's all great, but you've got executive comp plans that don't often reward big thinking.
Yeah, I was going to give this a super optional. This articles like this just kind of annoy me because I think it's just a vomit of obvious things.
Yeah.
And then he throws in, Dante, which is really not well connected to it.
Yeah.
Lousy examples and, great title, so I think it's an abomination, but in the spirit of democracy, we'll give it an important.
Tim, as a reader of Dante, it really pains me to hear that it's associated with a bucket of vomit optional?
No, I think vomit it up, obviously.
I can be talked into optional. It wasn't a great article, as I said. I just think getting people exposed to these ideas of transformation versus incremental is always good.
Come on, we're trying to move this morning. How are we going important? What do you say, Adam, from the conversation? I think we lost Adam on the road. All right.
No, yeah, I'll give it the important. I think there's an important point to be made, and there's been enough of support for that.
All right, important it is. Ankash, if you can give us the big tote, that'd be awesome.
Yes, John.
All right.
Yep.
So we have 2 importance here: structured outputs and generative AI is everywhere, including a virtual. Oh, 3. Sorry. And what bosses miss about AI? 3 optionals today. All right. Fairly balanced, as they say at Fox. Fair and balanced. So here we are. And any announcements for our audience? All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on the Robot Watch here at Gen AI Insights. See what's going on. Hope we saved you some time and have some help you have a good use of that time today. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.